Welcome to the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast on Tobacco Road Sports Radio and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. As part of your Wrestling Wednesday card, I'm your host, Michael Davis. Following yesterday's Top Rope Tuesday on Out of Pocket, we have a full hour to talk about this weekend's WrestleMania event. It's finally here. Will Roman's reign, pun intended, come to an end, or the Bloodline reign supreme after WrestleMania 40? We're going to break that down the entire show right now. Kevin Hill will be joining us later today. And right now, I got from Tapouts and Touchdowns, Bully Rye, Ryan Frick, and I got from Mouthing Off with Mike, and yesterday's Spout with Desmond Johnson, Mike Mealy, in the show. So hopefully Des allows us to post this show and he doesn't cancel us.
It was just a lover's quarrel. We still love each other.
I hope so, because it got heated. It got heated. If you guys missed Out of Pocket yesterday, you guys can go back and watch it. It's about 30 minutes long or something. But yeah, we got to talk about WrestleMania. Want to be respectful of y'all's time, and there's a lot to talk about. And so let's get started with the women's title match that appears to be opening WrestleMania weekend. We got Rhea Ripley defending the championship against the man Becky Lynch. It was 5 years ago where Becky Lynch beat Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey to, main event WrestleMania, become the man. And do you guys see this happening twice in a row? Do you think Becky Lynch walks out as champion? Bully Ryan, I'm going to start with you on this one.
I mean, probably. I don't like saying that because Rhea Ripley's reign has been really good. It's been well put together. We talked about these long title reigns, like the one that Roman Reigns has had, where he's defended all the 7 times, and then we compare it to the Gunther Intercontinental Championship reign that's currently in the middle of that we're currently in the middle of. And so I feel like Rhea Ripley is similar to that. She's taken on all comers. It's been a few years since we've gotten Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley one-on-one, and that was obviously before the Judgment Day gimmick and the mommy gimmick and all that stuff. Listen, I think the Judgment Day is about to have a really bad weekend. And so, and it starts with the fact that Becky Lynch is going to win the Women's World Championship. I'd like this, personally, I'd like to see Rhea continue the reign, and she could be the only one that has a good weekend. So she can come back and say, what are you jokers doing? Whatever. But yeah, I think Becky takes the title this weekend. I mean, she's already kind of hinted the fact that her contract is up. This gives her more incentive to stick around if they put the title on her at WrestleMania once again.
Mike, how do you see this one going down?
I will say, Becky, I know the contract's coming up, and Ryan makes a very valid point, but I don't feel like Becky would ever leave. I just feel like she's just WWE core. But hey, we've seen crazier things happen in professional wrestling. I think, and still on top, Mommy will stay after WrestleMania night 1, after her match against the man Becky Lynch. Look, they have avoided this match for years. Let's be real here. This match, they didn't want these two locking up. They avoided Charlotte and Rhea until we had to have, the part 1 and the part 2. And the second part of that was way, way better than the first, when Charlotte beat her for the NXT championship a couple years during the pandemic. Oh, Mania. That's a gem for you. I think Rhea's staying on top, man. I think she'll be the only member of the Judgment Day that is going to be happy this weekend.
So this
I'm
is
not
one.
Upset. I'm not upset with her being on top, by the way. She can be on top as much as she wants to be on top. You know what I'm saying?
So this is one of the matches I'm 50-50 on. I won't ignore that. One of the matches I'm 50-50 on, because I could totally see a scenario where Rhea is the only one from Judgment Day standing. And does it do too much for Becky to beat Rhea? There needs to be a point where you build the next star, whoever beats Rhea. And I feel like Becky's already a made man, pun intended on that one. But with the way they've kept these two apart as well, Mike, you mentioned it, Becky Lynch had a year. She was out of the title picture completely. I mean, they could have just as easily moved her to SmackDown and have her contend for, the women's title there, but they didn't. So they've kept her away from the women's scene. She had a great program with Trish Stratus. She helped elevate Zoe Stark. She helped reintroduce Nia Jax. I feel like this could be a way to kind of reward Becky Lynch and give her the title. But again, I'm super 50-50 on it. And by the time I'm on Tapouts and Touchdowns, I might have a different opinion. But we'll see how that goes. And
Really
another
quick,
one.
did she really elevate Zoe Stark though? I have to ask that question. Did she
Yeah, I
really
think
elevate
so.
Zoe
I
Stark?
think so.
Yeah.
What's she
I think
doing
so.
now?
So I mean, the problem with that was the problem right now is that they're it seems like they don't know
It's a
what the
stacked
direction they want to
roster.
go in with the women's tag titles. I think because Zoe and Shayna are a great team on paper. Like that's a team that I figure they could have held the tag titles like this. So I agree. Like right now, Zoe's kind of just here with Shayna, but I think that's a good pairing because I still think those two have some tag title gold in the future.
I mean, we can agree to disagree for the sake of time, but I would argue that she didn't really do much to elevate Zoe Stark at the time, maybe. But you talk about building new stars, like she's middling around in the tag team division, where when she was having one-on-one matches with Becky Lynch. Like I don't know,
That's
I'm
fair.
with you.
That's fair.
I like the program she had with Trish, that being Becky. Yeah, it's
I feel
So you
like
guys are forgetting that the fact that Becky went down to NXT and elevated Tiffany Stratton and Lyra
that's fair.
Valkyria.
that is
So
true.
I will give you gotta give me that one at least.
I'll give you that one because that was I think it was the street fight against Tiffany Stratton that just absolutely made Stratton a star.
Dude, that match, and it was a great match too for someone who's only been doing this for 2 years total. Incredible.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, making a star. And I always thought the person who would beat Gunther would need to be a star made. And so Gunther actually defends his Intercontinental title against Sami Zayn, the same guy who fell short to Roman Reigns' hometown last year in Montreal at Elimination Chamber. The same Sami Zayn who main evented night one of WrestleMania last year and won the tag titles with Kevin Owens and had his WrestleMania moment is wrestling Gunther. I personally am like, okay, we haven't seen this match, but dude, I don't see a scenario where Sammy is the one to end this historic reign of Gunther. Ryan, what do you think?
I think he is. I mean, I don't want to spoil what we're going to talk about a little later on, but I think that we can see an Eddie Guerrero, and I hate to say his name, Chris Benoit moment at this WrestleMania, where the best friends who won tag titles at last year's WrestleMania come together as both Intercontinental and United States champions on this event. I like. Listen, Gunther is ready for the main event push. It's about time that he goes and competes for a world title. He no longer needs the Intercontinental Championship to do that. So if there was a time to take it off of Gunther, now is the time. I could also see it going the other way. I mean, there's been really fun vignettes with Sami Zayn and Chad Gable to try to get Sami Zayn ready for this match, both mentally and physically, which is one of the reasons why I like Sami to win. But we could always get a heel turn where Gable gets involved as a la, you get Imperium coming in to sort of prevent Zayn from going over, and then you think Gable's coming in to make the save, and instead Gable turns on Sami because Sami cost him the shot at the Intercontinental title because his shoulders weren't down. And so we get a turn from Sami Zayn, and that's how Gunther retains his championship once again. But I like my original prediction. I think Sami Zayn goes over, and we eventually get that feel good moment where the best friends who won tag gold at last year's WrestleMania get to be the two mid card champions, so to speak, at WrestleMania 40.
Ryan, I might have to invite you back a little later on the show so you can talk about that triple threat United States title match.
Oh yeah,
I might have to do that. We'll see. We'll let you take a bathroom break or something after this segment to see how you're
guys got to
feeling.
eat. You know, what
Guys got to eat. I'm not going to compare what your bathroom break and then eating. I'll leave that for the fans' imagination. Dude, honestly, I think you're cooking about Gable costing Sami Zayn the title. Mike, do you see that being the way it goes down? No.
I see, and still the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Gunther, the Ring General, however Ludwig Kaiser says it.
Perfect.
Listen, I'm gonna say something real wild here, and it's only because I was thinking a little bit earlier about Bianca and her WrestleManias and how she's made the stake that she's undefeated at WrestleMania. I could very well see a similar thing for Gunther in his wrestling career, because last year was his first year. He won a triple threat, retained the Intercontinental Championship. He's 1-0. This year, if he wins, he's 2-0. That's something I think that nobody's, obviously 2-0, it's not a streak. We got to go at least 10 to hit to call it a streak, but I think it's something to keep an eye on the low key here. And I think Gunther drops the title in France because WWE wants to capitalize on those premium live events across the world. And it is the Intercontinental Championship. That's where Gable would pick it up.
I'd like to see you. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's where Gable picks it up. He picks it up in France. I mean, it's not in front of his family.
Gable. You're still on this.
Yeah,
Gable
I'm still
trip.
on the Gable thing. I said this back in July of last year that Chad Gable should be the one to dethrone Gunther. And we're still on that bubble still. There's still a chance that it does happen. And I think Sammy loses Mania. Chad, let's look at Rocky 4. Drago kills Creed. Rocky comes in, fights him, That's the same thing I think that's going to happen here. Gunther destroys Sammy. Chad comes in France and picks it up.
I do think they're doing a lot of Rocky parallels with this feud, especially with Chad Gable preparing Sami Zayn for this match. But I'm riding with Gunther. I don't want to see this reign in. But I will say this, and I don't want to spoil the end of the show, but if Sami Zayn somehow upsets Gunther, then somebody else isn't losing his title. That 2 reigns are not going to end and start at day 1 for WrestleMania. But Mike, you mentioned, Gunther's technically undefeated at WrestleMania 1-0. I feel like we're always looking for that next Undertaker because we missed that streak so much.
I miss it so much, dude.
And you said Bianca's undefeated?
She's undefeated at WrestleMania. Yes, indeed.
Wow. Because Bianca Belair teams up with Jade Cargill in Jade's debut and Naomi and Naomi's WrestleMania return against Damage Control of Asuka, Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai. It's interesting the women's tag titles are not being defended. Instead, it is having the 6-woman tag. Mike, do you feel this undefeated streak for Bianca continues?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they are, this match is big time. This is one of those matches where when you really look at it, you're like, I didn't think, that was something that was possible maybe a few years ago with a certain someone who shall not be named, because, maybe he didn't see the draw or the talent or, whatever the case may be. This is going to be amazing for young girls to look up to these 3 women and see them and say, look, there's someone that looks like me main eventing or wrestling on WrestleMania. I think it's one of the best things that, you could get. And I think it's a really feel good moment, for the community. And I think they'll get the win here. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, after the match with a little tension, because Bianca uses a variation of the Glam Slam. And that also is, in fact, a variation of what Jade's finishing move is, which is Jaded. So they both use the same move. So if you, I don't know if you guys have caught this, but Bianca's been using that move more and more as of recent in combination with the KOD, and that's Jade's finishing move as well. She does the seated Glam Slam. So with that being said, my bold prediction is that Bianca and Jade might be some tension that might start a build towards the rest of this year or next year's WrestleMania.
I'm down for that match. I think that's a dream match we need to work towards. We could also see, a team split off and challenge Asuka and Kairi Sane, maybe on the Raw after Mania. Ryan, do you think the faces win this one?
Yeah, I mean, I like what Mike had to say about the potential. So let me rephrase. I like how he talked about the way they use the same finish. I don't like the idea of the tension. I think you're going to get to see a spot where all 3, I'm talking Jade, I'm talking Bianca, and I'm talking Naomi, they all hit the same move at the same time to get the win. I think you're going to see that sort of like picture perfect WrestleMania, victory formation here, and they're going to get the win. And I think Jade Cargill is going to be the catalyst to get the actual pinfall, because this is her debut match where a referee can just make the decision. Like, this isn't the Royal Rumble. This is her actual debut match in WWE. Yeah, they go over. I've been saying it for a while that I'd like to see Jade and Bianca make a tag team run before they eventually split. But I can also see with the fact that Bianca and Naomi have been seen backstage so often that they can split out and have their own tag team to challenge for those tag titles. But one way or the other, yeah, the faces go over. I'm not sure the direction Damage Control is going to take after this show. It was sort of hinted that they were going to break up after last year's WrestleMania. That clearly didn't happen, and they got a full extra year out of that storyline. So the ladies, Naomi, Jade, and Bianca, they go over here. But I'm more interested in what happens after, to be completely honest.
And I will say, I think Dakota Kai being like the mouthpiece now for Damage Control is the right move because Asuka, Kairi, and Io, all Japanese
English.
wrestlers. Yeah, they don't speak English. But like this, pushing Bailey out,
of course,
has elevated Dakota Kai in this scenario.
Yeah, I agree.
I do want to mention this match too. This match could be really good, or this match could be really bad. Because I've seen Naomi since she's returned. There's been some spots where Naomi didn't look very crisp. There's always that language barrier when it comes to Asuka and Kairi with their opponents. This match could be really good. And not to mention, the reason that Jade has taken so long to debut is because apparently she wasn't picking up things in the performance center that she needed to pick up. That her knock in AEW was that she was too green and she didn't know how to wrestle. And so they wanted to make sure they took her time. And she looked impressive by single-handedly eliminating Nia Jax in the Royal Rumble, but there's still more to it that we need to see out of Jade Cargill from a performer standpoint when it comes to professional wrestling. So this could be really good, or this could be very lackluster as from an actual match, standpoint.
I think putting Jade with Bianca and Naomi is going to help her in that sense to get comfortable with that moment, with the spot. So I think yes and no. I mean, yeah, we all know AEW doesn't have a developmental, program. So obviously when Jade came into the company, she didn't even, know how to hit someone with a chair, if I remember correctly, with the interview and stuff when she had that match with Shaq and Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet. Goodness. So like she didn't even know how to set up a table, like use a chair. Like she learned all that on the fly, and I think that's pretty impressive. In her time in AEW. But yeah, her getting the proper work with WWE and the PC, I think was the best case scenario, and I was fine with the weights and to have your debut match at WrestleMania with two of the best wrestlers in the world. I'm on your team, plus the other side of the ring has, three of the best ever. So I'm all for it, man. This is going to be a good one. I don't bring no negativity during WrestleMania season, Ryan.
Hey, I mean, that's his moniker.
But it's a valid
right.
Yeah. Do you know who I am?
He's a heel,
bro. I'm Bully Rye. I take dumps on all that you love.
Okay? See, there we go.
Now, Bully Rye might not be showing up at WrestleMania. Mike from the Mouth Off with Mike Wrestling podcast is, but maybe Bully Ray shows up at WrestleMania. There's been talks about somehow the Dudleys getting involved or the Hardy Boys getting involved in this 6-pack ladder match for what Michael Cole is saying, the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championships. So Mike and I were, talking about this off air. We got Judgment Day bringing their titles in for Awesome Truth, The Miz and R-Truth, DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, The New Day, minus Big E, and New Catch Republic. All of these teams are going to be battling for the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles. And apparently, Mike pointed this out, kudos to him, that Michael Cole said that, the match is over until both the Raw and SmackDown tag titles are retrieved. Mike, I've brought this up with you, so I'm going to deflect to Bully Rye first. How do you see this one going?
I'm so glad I get to talk first. First of all, the Hardys need to stay away. Jeff Hardy's still under contract with AEW. They're not showing up. I love the Hardy Boys. I grew up with the Hardy Boys. They're one of the best tag teams in the world. Stay away. Take your Hall of Fame induction in a few years, but you don't need to be here. As far as the Dudleys go, my favorite tag team of all time. Legitimately, Bully Ray comes from Bully Ray. Like it's a direct derivative of one of his characters. And the Dudley Boys, and the Dudley Boys is my favorite tag team of all time. But Devon Dudley had fusion surgery, not in his neck, but in his back. Devon Dudley cannot take bumps anymore. Devon Dudley does not need to be anywhere near or around this match. Now, you guys have already mentioned that Michael Cole announced on Monday Night Raw that the match is not over until both tag titles have come down. We have been waiting for quite some time for a way to split these tag titles back up. And that's what we're going to get. We're going to see 2 new champions come out of WrestleMania. And then hopefully on the Monday night and the Friday night after WrestleMania, they're going to be coined in new championship title belts. The World and the WWE Tag Team Champions. Let's get rid of these coin-looking tag titles. Like, it looks like a giant quarter. Before that, it looked like a giant penny. Let's get them. Let's get them back looking like their old glory. Yeah, let's get them back. The old Attitude Era tag titles to be the world tag titles. Let's make some WCW, even some ECW looking tag titles for SmackDown. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this match. Ladder, again, we talk about my favorite tag team in the Dudleys. Ladder match is one of my favorite matches to watch. I'm really interested. I have no idea who's going to win. I think we're going to get potentially Theory and Waller. I think they're going to take the titles for SmackDown because, you know, we've waited for Theory to sort of take that next step, and he didn't. And then they paired him with Grayson Waller, and they're entertaining. I mean, or you could put it on New Catch Republic over on SmackDown. I think you're going to see somebody you would expect to see on Raw, be it DIY or Awesome Truth. I don't think New Day needs the titles again. I am hoping, because he's been doing a lot of stuff like at the desk, I'm hoping that New Day comes out with Big E as like their manager at WrestleMania, because I don't think he ever wrestles again, but I would love to see Big E come out with New Day just to be there. And especially if they do decide to put the titles on them. So yeah, the possibilities are endless in this match. The possibilities not there being are the Dudleys or the Hardys showing up. You might as well say that Edge and Christian can show up too. Like no, stop it.
Hey, I mean,
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about everything about this match.
Yeah. Anything's possible in this match. Who knows? Demolition might come out.
Dude, get it going.
Yeah. The Naturals might come out. Who
we don't
knows?
need to see Barry Horowitz in the 70s or whatever he is. We don't need to see him.
Mike,
leave Repo Man alone.
Mike, let's get this recorded on Drop the mic on this one.
All right, man. So Ryan said everything that I could have ever imagined. Let this man cook. Let him cook, because I have been begging for months. I had a whole special feature on my show about splitting the tag titles. I prayed for this, and it finally happened, in the words of Drew McIntyre. Now, Bully Rai, he was onto something here. He was cooking, and I thought he was going to go in the same direction that I had made my predictions with you on my episode that came out today as well for Mania predictions. A-Town Down Under's taking those SmackDown titles, and the Awesome Truth are going to take the Raw tag titles, because R-Truth has never gotten his WrestleMania moment. And I think it's time for the R-Truth, man. I think it's time for R-Truth to get a WrestleMania moment. He's a legend. He's an icon. I love the man. He makes me laugh like a little kid every time he's on my TV screen. And big deal if they hold him for a month, I'm okay with it. But we definitely need some new tag titles. That's for sure. The coins got to go. Put them in the change purse. We got all new belts for everybody else. It's time for the tag titles to get a fresh coat of paint.
What are the odds that R-Truth waits for a tag in this match, or like pulls out a table and puts somebody through it?
I was worried he was gonna like show up to LA or something and like be like I'm here for WrestleMania, and like he's at SoFi.
That's on me. My bad.
Yeah, right.
No, so
that part of me's worried about that.
Ryan, I think to add on to what all of us have said, that 2 teams are pulling these titles down, I think that's where the R-Truth moment comes, is R-Truth is going to climb up and he's going to pull down the Raw tag team titles, climb down the ladder, look at Miz, hand him over and say, look, we did it. And then Miz is like,
that's brilliant, Michael.
Seriously.
And by the time he does that, you know, maybe Theory and Waller, because they're the only other heel tag team other than Judgment Day, but Theory and Waller are up there and they grab the SmackDown tag titles. And Miz is like, oh my gosh, but at least we're Raw tag champions. That's how it could go down. We got
what happens if teams pull, like, what happens if like or Truth pulls down a Raw title and Miz pulls down a SmackDown title. Like, that's like worst case scenario, a botched finish where they accidentally grab the opposite titles. It won't happen, but I've thought about it and I'm like, oh, that'd be a little interesting twist. Of like, do they just trade titles at Mania, or do
Wonder how
they
they're gonna
go their
do
separate
it.
ways and
Are they
like
gonna
the
hang
old
all
lethal lottery
four?
and just have a
You gotta
mix
hang all
and
four.
match tag match?
Yeah, you
Oh,
gotta
yeah,
hang
that's what I'm
all
saying.
four.
Are they gonna hang all four? Because that hook for those belts got to be massive, bro. If
They're
you're
probably
hanging
got 2
all four-
hooks.
Oh, valid point. It probably
That's
will
a
be
good
2 hooks.
idea.
That's actually probably where it'll come into, and that's where your R-Truth theory. He'll be climb up, be confused, and be like, and then just pick one, or he picks the SmackDown, and they end up going to SmackDown, Miz and R-Truth or something crazy.
Now, one of the cool things is the Usos wrestled for these tag titles, and they were the night 1 main event of last year's WrestleMania. Now, Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso are getting their childhood dream of wrestling each other. They put together a really good program. This program reminds me of how they built Dom versus Rey Mysterio last year. They had their beef in the summer. They put each other on separate brands, kept them away from each other until the Royal Rumble, and then, built towards that. We only have a few more minutes before we welcome Kevin in, and then Mike's got to catch a flight to Philadelphia.
You're always gonna give me
I'll always gotta give you a hard time for
the
it.
hard times.
But we got Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. Mike, I'll let you go first this time since I gave you a hard time.
Oh boy,
Which Uso comes out victorious?
Yeet. Come on, Jey Uso's coming out
Yeet.
victorious. Yeah, this is the dream match that they wanted. We've only had 3 actual brother versus brother matches. We're not counting Taker and Kane here. Not to spoil anybody's hopes and wishes that they were real brothers. Only 3rd brother versus brother match in WrestleMania history, which is crazy, and they've all happened 15 years after one another, which is insane to think about when you look at it. But yeah, Jey Uso, this is his big win. This is what gets him in the dance. This is what gets him that Intercontinental Championship, that World Heavyweight Championship, the main event. And this is what finally gets him to push on through to the other side.
Ryan, do you see the same happening here? You said yeet.
Yeet. Yeah. Jay, there's no way that Jay, there's no way. Listen, we've been waiting for a while for a punishment for the last DUI for Jimmy Uso. And this is sort of it. Like
what
the
a
continued elevation.
Dude.
Oh my!
The continued elevation of Jey Uso. Like, Jimmy never got punished. Like, let's be honest, he never got punished, and he ended up getting hurt, and that's what elevated Jay. But this is it. Jay's gonna get his win. I honestly, like, again, I'm more intrigued about the aftermath. Like, do they come together as brothers and reconnect? And does this put another wrinkle in the bloodline? But yeah, Jay goes over. I don't know if there's going to be some gaga involved in this match. I do wish that it was opening the show. I don't think that this match deserves to be in the middle of a card where people might be restless and need to go and get some food or go to the the bathroom lines. But yeah, I'm sorry. I know we're up against it. This is what I wanted Matt and Jeff Hardy to be years and years ago. The build for this match is what I wanted for Matt and Jeff. This is probably, of all the matches, and we talk about main events and who's the big people that are on the card. This is the match that I'm looking forward to most this weekend, because these guys are going to tear the house down.
I think so, especially, imagine, I used to wrestle my younger brother in the living room. We'd jump off the couch and, put him in a figure 4, or put him in a sharpshooter, and then I'd get in trouble, and then I'd lose my TV privileges. So I couldn't watch Raw until my parents went to sleep. Sorry, I'm out myself now. And I'd be like, whoa, the Rock return. Like, we had those moments. And for Jay and Jimmy to have that moment, and they wouldn't have had it without the bloodline story the last 4 years. They wouldn't have had it without the success of that. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be incredible. I kind of agree with Ryan of like, this should be opening WrestleMania, especially when they could be involved in the night 1 main event in some capacity. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns and The Rock. I know we're going to talk about the night 2 main event on both of your shows. So I'm going to hold that. And I'm also going to hold it for when Kevin comes in at the end of the show. But just in terms of night 1 main event, Who do you think wins? How do you think this goes down? Do you see anybody coming in? Ryan?
This is going to be the most chaotic main event in WrestleMania history. Everybody that can get involved in this match is going to get involved. You're going to get Solo. You're going to get Jimmy. You're going to get Jay. I think that you're got a possibility of getting another family member involved. You're going to see like everybody's thinking. Everybody's going to thinking that there's going to be some involvement in night 2. But I mean, it's a pretty obvious Easter egg that was laid during the beatdown on Monday Night Raw 2 weeks ago with The Rock and Cody. This again, the most chaotic main event in WrestleMania history. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins goes over. But it's I mean, I think Drew McIntyre can get involved in this match. I think Damian Priest could get involved in this match. Imagine if Damian Priest wanted to like legit like, hey, I'm main event status. Why, I'm gonna go in. Like, let's say Cody and Seth win the match, and then Priest cashes in on Seth after the match is over and wins the world title and takes on McIntyre and throws everybody for a loop for night 2. Like, this is
wild.
This is going to be chaos. And that's my prediction. Seth and Cody go over, but this match is going to be chaos.
I'm here for the chaos, Mike.
I think a lot of chaos. I don't know if we're going to get the run-ins on this match. I think we're going to get a lot of the run-ins on the night 2 match because I believe that it is, in fact, as a Cody crybaby, as The Rock wants to call us, as Cody fans, The Rock and Roman are going to win the main event here on night 1 because I want all the adversity for my man Cody Rhodes night 2. I want the bloodline rules. I don't want to hear any excuses. I want him to roll through every family member, cousin, brother, uncle, whoever's around, running through him. Cody Rhodes, that's it. But The Rock and Roman are going to win night 1.
Well, I'll refrain from giving you a taste that Dez gave you yesterday on Out of Pocket. People can go back and watch that episode. It's really fun, especially seeing Dez and Mike go into it. It feels good because I've been getting into it with Dez about Duke UNC. So it feels good to have somebody else getting to it with Dez about Cody versus Roman and me actually be on Dez's side. So
we got into it about Jadeveon Clowney. Like, we got heated 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, like at this point, like I'm starting to think that you are there's one guy that I know on social media that I call the most sophisticated and intelligent internet troll of all time. I think you're starting to get there. You're starting to get to that point. I think that you are feigning as an intelligent, well-spoken.
I am intelligent and well-spoken.
Yeah, but I think somewhere down at the core, there's some troll-like behaviors. Wow. Like, I'm not talking like bright green, but I'm thinking like maybe dark blue, like a muted blue-haired, troll.
That
like
my
Duke
friend,
blue. You know what I'm saying?
That, my friend, is out of pocket.
So good.
Well, we'll obviously break down this whole show in WrestleMania Friday on the supersized 1-hour episode of Out of Pocket. Dez will be there. Mike will be enjoying a well-deserved vacation in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Ryan and I will have the Cat Cave on the Tobacco Road YouTube channel as well today. But right now, I gotta let Kevin in the studio. Mike, go get on your flight. Ryan, take a few minutes. If you want to come back and predict the night 2 main event, you are more than welcome, my friend. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, stay tuned. Kevin, we'll welcome you in on Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast. Welcome back to the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. As part of your Wrestling Wednesday lineup, as I mentioned, Ryan Frick from Tapouts and Touchdowns, Mike Mealy from Mouthing Off of the Mic. I was on both their shows this week talking about WrestleMania. Mike and I are talking night 2 on his podcast, and me and Ryan basically recapped what he had for me. So just a big week. It's probably my busiest week of the year. This day is also the busiest day. So it's why you don't see Out of Pocket on Wednesdays. We did have Top Rope Tuesday yesterday for your lunch break. And we also announced that we'll be back Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow. And we'll be back Friday. Friday, we're actually doing the first Out of Pocket supersized episode where we'll have an entire hour during your lunch break. And if you're getting an hour lunch break, like kudos to you guys. And we'll talk about the Final Four. We'll talk about WrestleMania because this is such a big week for Tobacco Road Sports Radio. But I am joined by a first-time guest. We've met a few times here recently at church. I'm joined by the one, Mr. Kevin. He's been down since day 5-ish. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Michael. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate you having me.
Of course. And we just recapped night 1, so I wanted to recap night 2 with you
Sure.
because we've talked a little bit in passing at church, and I'm like, man, I just want to get this guy on the podcast so everybody else is graced with your presence.
I appreciate that.
The first match I want to bring up is the World Heavyweight Championship match. Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Of course, Seth Rollins is wrestling night 1 in the main event alongside Cody Rhodes to wrestle The Rock and Roman Reigns. So Seth's pulling double duty. He also just had his first televised match back this Monday against Solo Sikoa in Bloodline Rules. He didn't take it like that match. And so now he's got this task against the Royal Rumble runner-up Drew McIntyre. Kevin, what do you think about this? Is Seth really just overlooking Drew McIntyre right now?
I think so, and I think that's going to play into the results of the match itself. And if you watched Raw last night, you noticed when Seth was backstage getting ready to come out, he told Drew, "I'm not dead yet." And that kind of gave us that mindset. He's going to push himself and push himself. And they mentioned burning the candle at both ends several times during Raw in the past few weeks, that he's maybe burning it on both ends. And I think it is going to come back to haunt him. I think that Drew ultimately wins. I think it's just too much from night 1 going into night 2 as well. So I look for Drew to upset, I guess you could call it, Seth.
So you're expecting Drew. Here's the better question. Do you expect Drew to walk out as World Heavyweight Champion? Because there's somebody with a briefcase that's kind of lurking in the corner.
Senior Money in the Bank. I think Drew still walks out. I have an idea as far as the briefcase goes. There's not really a good time for him to cash in right now, it seems like. I think he's going to pull a swerve and hold it all the way until the next Money in the Bank. And I think that they may put in a clause or whatever just to write it into television that he is going to cash in on the next winner of Money in the Bank to take a hold of that briefcase to give him an entire new year to go after a belt of his choosing.
Huh. So you basically are saying Damian Priest cashes in on Mr. Money in the Bank.
Exactly right. That's coming up later this year. Yep.
To have a whole other year to cash in.
Yep.
Huh. You know what? I've always wondered about that. And I remember back in, I believe, 2007, Mr. Kennedy won Money in the Bank. And, they started counting down with, like, Kennedy saying he's going to cash in at next year's WrestleMania. But I'm like, if there's already a Money in the Bank ladder match that night, right, WrestleMania, how does that work? But with you having the idea of like, oh, he can just cash in to keep the contract.
Yeah.
Huh.
And they've done other things with the briefcase itself. I mean, you've had John Cena and Dolph Ziggler had the match for the case itself years ago. So I think that is something that could surprise a lot of people if they decide to go that route with Damian. I think he's a deserving champion. I just don't think the timing right now is best for him with that briefcase. So that's if I'm booking, if I'm Mr. Booker right now, that's what I'm doing.
Wow. That would be interesting. I'm definitely expecting Seth's title reign to come to an end. I don't know how CM Punk at commentary is going to go. That
could be a way for Punk to interfere, go back to heel Punk, as he's so often at his best work as heel Punk. And then later that could just lead to Seth and Punk. No title needs to be involved for that. That's money right there. Just those two in a match together.
Wow. And we'll eventually get that. I'm sure Drew's re-signed with the company.
I believe so as well.
I've been on record of saying that on the show. I've been on record of saying that on other shows. Like, he's not put in this spot right now. If he hasn't re-signed with the company, they're not just going to let him walk to a place like AEW in a couple months after being in this marquee match at WrestleMania. This might open the show. Another match that might open is Io Sky defending against former Damage Control leader Bailey. This is this is quite the match. I'm actually really excited of how they built it, especially since Triple H took over about a year and a half ago.
Yes.
Kevin, do you see Bailey finally getting her WrestleMania moment?
I do. I think she gets her revenge over the turnabout from her leadership as Damage Control leader and then being turned on by the group itself. I think she does walk out as the new champion. And this might just be my opinion, hot take right here. I don't think Io Sky's reign has been kind of boring to in my opinion. I think before she had the belt, we saw in the War Games match when she jumped off the top of the cage, she was displaying her athleticism. The crowd really loved that for her, and I think since she's became champion, it's just been kind of stale since then. What do you think?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I think especially Io at the height of, last year at Backlash when she lost to Bianca Belair for the title, but then she won Money in the Bank. I feel like Damage Control has been one of the hottest women's factions I think we've ever seen in WWE.
I agree with that.
And I love that they added Kairi Sane into the mix. They added Asuka, and then they just kind of pushed Bailey out. So I don't know if it's necessarily Io standing alone, but it's more like the group has evolved. And now Dakota Kai is one of the more prominent members of Damage Control and is kind of being the mouthpiece for the more Japanese wrestlers. We recapped that with Ryan and Mike on the previous segment, but it's kind of interesting. I feel like Bailey wins here. I really do. And I hope she has a long run. If Bailey does win, do you expect her to have a long reign as champion?
I do, actually. And I think that she is in the position now where she's able to have that run. She was well liked as a face before she made her turn, but her work as a heel was just so impressive, and it just made the audience and us fans like her even more. She's great on the mic. She's great in the ring, so I expect her to have a long reign.
Okay. And of course, we'd be remiss without mentioning this match. LA Knight. Yeah. Versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. Now, Kevin, this is interesting because both of these guys have taken a turn. Okay. In the last couple years, AJ Styles was wrestling Edge at WrestleMania. And then, Damian Priest, comes out and Edge aligns himself with Damian Priest, ultimately starting up Judgment Day. Okay. Last year, WrestleMania is in Hollywood. It's in LA, and there's no LA Knight. The fans have an outrage about it. And slowly LA Knight's been involved in the card. And now LA Knight has a singles match with probably one of the best talents in the world right now in AJ Styles. How do you see this one going? Does LA Knight deliver in the ring?
I think so, and I think putting him with the phenomenal one was fantastic because AJ is at the point now in his career. He's done everything there is to do. There's no question he's one of the best it's ever been. But to put him in the ring with a crowd favorite like LA Knight, to put him over right now, I think it's going to be a very entertaining match, and I think LA Knight gets his WrestleMania win.
That would be incredible. Now, I do want to pose an idea to you, and I started thinking about it when I was, talking to Mike Mealy, who was on the previous segment. there could be a little swerve right here. There could be a little swerve right here, and hear me out. Okay. The WWE just signed a former Bullet Club member in Tama Tonga. Okay. AJ Styles has gotten more of a heel run. He's gotten more of a heel run over the last few months, had an attitude change once he couldn't compete against Roman. Now he's bitter. This is how he's taking his transgressions out on LA Knight. And this could be the perfect opportunity to kind of recreate that moment with AJ Styles bringing in Tama Tonga, just like Edge brought in Damian Priest, and start maybe a new version of the Bullet Club. Am I out of pocket for that?
I don't think so. That's a very interesting idea, and it seems like there's several different factions within the WWE right now, and adding one with a familiar name as the Bullet Club like that would be very interesting. If they do try to do that, I really like that idea, Mike.
Yeah, and think about it. Like Gallows and Anderson aren't really doing anything. Maybe Finn Balor breaks off from Judgment Day.
I kind of had that thought when you started mentioning all that too, because it seems like the Judgment Day could function without Finn Balor and still be just as much of a threat as they are each week without him, but kind of have like a rotating kind of core within Judgment Day and let Finn go back to the Bullet Club. That would be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, and gosh, the other name slipping my Damian Priest. Damian Priest could lead Judgment Day.
Exactly.
Or Rhea Ripley could lead Judgment Day.
I think she's more the leader anyway, and maybe not on paper, but we all know mommy's on top.
Mommy's always on top. I like the way you think, Kevin. So yeah, you if I pick on this one, I know we steered off on the Bullet Club. That's on me. LA Knight or AJ Styles.
Yeah, LA Knight. Yeah.
I'm gonna go the opposite route. I'm gonna go AJ Styles if we can get Tama Tonga to help AJ Styles in this victory. Then, of course, we have the triple threat match. Kevin, you and I have talked off air pretty frequently about Logan Paul and my disdain for Logan Paul. But he is defending the United States title against both Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, two guys he has history with. How do you see this one going down?
As far as Logan Paul goes, you may not like the guy, but you can't deny in the short time he has been in WWE, he's had an impact. He is a great athlete. I think he has transitioned into the ring for someone that has not been in the business for years extremely well. And I think that putting him with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, he's going to display his athleticism again. I think that ultimately he still walks out as champion because Randy Orton and Kevin Owens will be clashing more and more as the match goes on. And then I think ultimately that will cost one of them to take the pin, probably Kevin Owens, and Logan Paul sneaks out of there still champ.
So you're predicting Logan Paul. I don't really like that. So I'm going to tag in one of my tag team partners. You guys know him. You guys have seen him. Usually we're on opposing sides. Hopefully we're not for this one. He had to come back for the very end of the show. You saw him earlier we got Bully Rye right now in the show. Ryan, Kevin just said Logan Paul is walking out of WrestleMania as United States champion. Please tell me it ain't so.
Well, as Banker Bill likes to say on my show, you're wrong again, bud. There's no way that he leaves WrestleMania as United States champion. Listen, more than likely, my prediction is more than likely Kevin Owens is going to walk out as your new United States champion. Randy Orton doesn't need another title run of any kind for that matter. But you know, it's sort of like the way that they've got Sammy sort of floating around right now. Like since last year's WrestleMania, where they were able to main event and take the tag titles off the longest reigning tag champions in the Usos. They sort of faltered away once they lost the tag titles to Judgment Day, and you know, moving him to SmackDown for no apparent reason. It gives him something to do. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, he signed a contract extension not long ago. So, and with the guys that are currently in the title picture and the guys that will be in the title picture, in my opinion, in the next year or so, Kevin Owens doesn't play a part in the world title picture, and therefore, this is the time to take Logan Paul. I know Logan Paul signed a full-time contract with the WWE to be a weekly fixture on television, but listen, it's still Logan Paul. He's got other stuff going on. He's not going to be the United States champion much longer. Matter of fact, I think I've said this before. He's the worst thing to happen to the United States championship since David Flair or Steve Mongo and Michael. So
that's saying something right there.
That's going way back there.
Going way back. Maybe a little out of pocket, but today's not the show for that. That'll be tomorrow and Friday. Doing the supersized out of pocket show on Friday. So Kevin's got Logan. Ryan's got Kevin. Not this Kevin.
Not me. KO. Not KH.
And I'm taking Randy Orton.
Of course you would.
Why
you
not?
Would.
Yep.
How cool would it be? And I mentioned this on Mike's show. Mike was in the show earlier with myself and Ryan, but like, how cool would it be? Logan does some crazy spot where he gets hit with an RKO. Orton pins him, wins the United States title. Orton doesn't need a long reign as United States champion, but just give it to him. Give us that moment. Give us that like jaw-dropping RKO to rival the one that Orton gave Rollins at WrestleMania 31. And boom, there you go. There you have it. Now this event is in Philadelphia. That's probably the only downfall to WrestleMania 40. Mike obviously was in the first segment, but he had to get out because he's traveling. He's flying out to Philadelphia to attend in his team's favorite team stadium. But we got a Philly street fight. Who knows where this is going to go? It's quote unquote the Pride, I guess, is now what we're calling Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament. Karrion Kross, Akam, and Razar. I've been a huge fan of Karrion Kross. I'm glad they've paired Lashley and the Street Profits. Ryan, I'll start with you. How do you see this going down? Who do you think wins?
Listen, they've let this. I can't even think of the name of the super group they've tried to put together here. Listen, I'm a huge fan of the Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering. I thought they got a bad rap when they were released years ago, so I was glad to see them come back. Listen, I don't want to say they're getting wasted away, but they are, because this storyline of all the storylines going on in WWE right now, this is probably the least meaningful. That being said, I think you've watched AOP and Karrion Kross beat up on the Profits and Lashley for the last month or two. I think Lashley and the Profits finally get back on the right track. Kind of off topic as far as the tag titles go, but I think this will eventually propel the Street Profits back into a tag title picture after WrestleMania, along with Bobby Lashley maybe into a main event slot here post WrestleMania. I think this is the end of the line. Street Profits and Lashley versus the Karrion Kross group.
And I'm glad they're getting this spotlight on WrestleMania rather than SmackDown. Everybody understands like my thoughts on the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal being deflected to SmackDown. It just doesn't make sense. It's not WrestleMania. Don't call it WrestleMania. Kevin, I just think the Final Testament needs this win more because Lashley and Street Profits are established.
I agree with that too. More than likely, I agree with Ryan that the Pride was going to win on Mania, but I would love to see the Final Testament win. I think Karrion Kross is one of the most underutilized talents that they have right now. His run with NXT was, to me, that it was great. I enjoyed watching him, and I just feel like he has not been used to his ability since he has been brought up, you could say, from NXT. But
it's better. It's better than his first run.
That's very true.
We can agree with that.
I mean, but when Karrion Kross got brought in as the first re-signing once Triple H took over, like I met Karrion Kross like 5 days before, and I'm so glad that I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a Triple H guy. We're about to see him get pushed. And he hasn't done much. And now he's affected characters in a way that Bray Wyatt used to do. Like anytime the Fiend touched a character, they would change. I think that's a reason why AJ Styles has this more heelish demeanor about him. But man, I tell you what, like I'm okay with however this pans out, but I want the Final Testament to win. I think they need it more, and I'm so adamant about that. But I was adamant about who was winning this match, the main event, the one that you've all been waiting for. But after watching documentaries, after watching the build-up, I'm still like, maybe I was like 90% the Tribal Chief reigns, but maybe now I'm like 60-40. I got to bring this up because it's the match that everybody wants to see, Reigns versus Rhodes 2 at WrestleMania 40. Kevin, I'll start with you. Roman or Cody, how does this go down?
Oh, one of the greatest things I enjoy about wrestling is not knowing what's going to happen. And I think this is one of the prime examples of a match where it could go either way. I could see arguments for both sides. One, Roman wins so he can finally surpass Hulk Hogan's reign in length of days. That's coming up later this summer if they want to go that route. Cody Rhodes, this is the ultimate good versus evil match. So I think Cody finally wins and gets to finish his story. I think they are pushing for this, like the Avengers Endgame type scenario I kind of mentioned to you this past Sunday, where Bloodline rules in this match, so that you've automatically got the numbers game. They are beating down Cody. Seth tries to come out, but due to night one and then his loss to Drew earlier, I think he's not even 50%. So the numbers game turns on him. Jay comes down from his match later that night. Well, he's on night one, but anyway, Jay comes down, the numbers game again. Beat down. Solo's fighting Seth. Jimmy's fighting Jay. Rock and Roman are beating Cody down, and then glass shatters. Then here comes Stone Cold, and we get to see the Stone Cold Stunner to the Rock, selling it like the old days. And then the tables have turned. Everybody's paired off, which leaves Cody and Roman one-on-one. I think 3 crossroads, and we get the 1, 2, 3 new champ and the end of Roman Reigns' era.
Ryan?
I mean, listen, they mentioned it on Monday Night Raw this week that if he won, like going into Monday night, that he would tie Hogan's record. Like they're somehow moving the goalpost to allow Roman to tie Hogan's record while also losing Sunday. I've been saying it for months that Roman's not losing. Like the internet wrestling community that completely lost their minds when we thought we were going to see Rock and Roman are going to be sorely disappointed this weekend when Roman Reigns loses to Cody or beats Cody Rhodes. But with what they said on Monday night, I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think Cody's going to get the win. I like the scenario Kevin had play out. I also think that you're gonna get to see potentially more more interference. You talked about Austin coming out. Why not? Nobody's mentioned Rikishi, right? Rikishi hit Austin with a car. I did it for The Rock. And, the dad of the Usos, the dad of Solo Sikoa, he gets involved. So then you get to see interference by not only Stone Cold and The Rock, but then you get to see like John Cena and Rikishi. John Cena comes in to to interfere. I honestly, I don't see that happening in the main event night 2. I don't see a lot of Gaga, as we like to say over on Tapouts and Touchdowns, in that main event with Cody and Roman. I think you're going to see a lot of that interference in night 1 in the tag match. I don't think Cody goes over clean. I think we get to see maybe potentially. I just got through saying we're not going to see Gaga, but I think we're going to get to see the potential debut of a superstar that's going to try to cost Cody Rhodes the championship on Sunday. I don't think it happens. I think Cody Rhodes overcomes, maybe potentially like Sammy comes out, where and nobody bloodline related comes out and helps Cody get over. But yeah, listen, I've been saying it for months that Roman's not going to lose. He's going to hold the title over to SummerSlam, so he beats Hogan's record. But I don't know why they mentioned Monday that, oh yeah, if he holds on the title come Sunday, he will tie Hulk Hogan's record, like this, that, and the other. Like, okay, like it's sort of like deflating the title reign, like they inflated the Goldberg streak in WCW. So, yeah, Roman loses the title to Cody this week, but I don't like the way that the internet sort of forced WWE's hand in doing so. I think you would get more longevity. You could get more longevity out of this program where you do wind up with Rock and Roman at next WrestleMania, where Roman loses the title, say like at SummerSlam or Survivor Series after he's beaten Hogan's true record. But it's not going to happen. Cody's going to win so that all the Cody crybabies can get their finishing their own story and so on and so forth. Listen, I'm not a fan of Roman Reigns, but I would have liked to see him beat Hogan's record because I have my own feelings on Terry Bollea. Yep. So
fair. I think Hogan's name is also bleeped as CM Punk's is on Tapouts and Touchdowns.
Believe it or not him. It's
oh wow,
it's Voldemort that used to own the company. That's the other name.
Right. I got to prep because I'm gonna be on Tapouts and Touchdowns this week talking about this WrestleMania card with my guy Bully Rye. Yeah, when it comes to this main event, again, I'm like 60-40 now, just after seeing the Roman doc, just after seeing the Cody doc. They could go so many ways. And I'll say this is why wrestling is at its peak right now, because you would go to pay-per-views and you would look and you're like, okay, I can tell you everyone who's winning. And it was consistent. Now it's like you go through this card and you're like, I could see this person winning, or I could see the Final Testament winning, or I could see Roman retaining or Cody winning. But like at the end of the day, you just don't know. And this is one of the best times to be a fan. I'm writing wrestling articles for Fans First Sports Network, including for you the best moments in WrestleMania history. And I'm sure there's going to be more made this weekend. And so my final pick, I'm going to stick with Roman Reigns, but I wouldn't be surprised. And this isn't your last bit of wrestling content this week. Again, I'm going to be on Tapouts and Touchdowns. I'm on Mike's Mouthing Off with Mike. He was on the show earlier today. Kevin made his debut, so thank you for hopping on Drop the Mic. You will be on for future episodes as well.
Excellent.
Yeah. And thank you guys for tuning in to Drop the Mic. Everyone who supported Tobacco Road, what we've been doing the last few weeks with the return of Out of Pocket. Out of Pocket will be back tomorrow at 12:30 for 30 minutes during your lunch break. But on Friday, we have a weekend with the Final Four and WrestleMania. So we're going to do a super-size 1-hour special of Out of Pocket from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to try to cover it all in an hour, but we needed that extra 30 minutes to get you guys squared away. I will also be at Mount Pleasant Elementary School in Ferguson, North Carolina at Squared Circle Champions with my co-host and Ryan's co-host of the Cat Cave, Shan Smith. We'll be there Saturday at 7 p.m. Guys you've seen on Drop the Mic for interviews. Stephen Meeks was on a few weeks ago. CeCe Young was on a couple months back. They'll be in action this Saturday at Squared Circle Champions. Come by, say hey, get a picture with me and Shannon. It's going to be a great time. But guys, most importantly, thank you guys for spending your Wednesday with us on Drop the Mic. Be sure to check out myself and Ryan and Shannon on the Cat Cave as well as we drop our episode today. But we're going to get out of here. We will see you guys next week on Drop the Mic. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Out of Pocket. And whatever you do, don't drop the mic. Everyone, have a great Wednesday.